Hello and welcome to another one of my little videos on my corner of YouTube. As you can see, I'm on the bike again, and this video will be about the thing that I'm actually currently sat on, which is a Kawasaki ER-5, not the most exciting motorcycle in the world. I hope you can hear this okay. The wind noise in my open face helmet is actually quite deafening at the moment. So hopefully you can hear this okay on the microphone on the camera. So yeah, I thought I'd do a quick video about this bike because I have recently gotten rid of my trusty Honda CB1100 and replaced it with this, a bike less than half its size in terms of engine displacement, but also in terms of physical size really. The CB1100 is a big old unit of a bike. I'm not that big of a guy, and I just thought it might be nice to have something a little bit smaller, a little bit more agile and a little bit more economical really. The CB1100 is a fantastic bike, but let's be honest, it's an 1150cc engine and it's just not that economical really. Hello Mr. Biker, nice nod there. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a little ride around on this one. I've got a very close Enterprise rental van right behind me, so please do forgive me if I keep checking my mirrors because he's extremely close, as they always tend to be. This isn't a review by any means, it's just me giving my thoughts on this bike, which I bought very recently. And yeah, so this is a Kawasaki ER-5 498cc. It's a 1999 Twister A model, I believe is the correct nomenclature for this particular bike, and I'm extremely happy with it. It's not the fastest, but it gets me from A to B, and it's actually quite good fun to ride just because of how easy it is to handle really. So light and easy to move compared to the CB1100. So yeah, I thought it might be nice actually to give a little bit of a history of my riding. Well, my riding history on bikes, it kind of comes in three chapters really. The first chapter started in around 2001 when I did my CBT and got myself a scooter so I could get to my job after I graduated from university. I had the little scooter 50cc Peugeot Speedfight for about 6 months before I realised it was just not quick enough and it just ran out of puff to, you know, it was a 50cc, obviously it's not going to have anything to it. I was only on a CBT at the time, so I quickly got rid of that and bought myself a CG125, a trusty CG125. Had that for a while until it was stolen from my dad's back garden, which was very helpful. I replaced that with another CG125, which was a newer model. That also went the way of thieves. Well, not the bike itself, literally the wheel. Some thieves climbed over the back fence where it was stored and stole literally just the back wheel. Again, very helpful. And then I had a bit of a break from biking then because it was around that time I joined the Navy and I just didn't really have the need for a motorcycle while I was sort of in that period of my life. So I just had a car for that period. And then when I left the Navy I decided, right, I need to get back on two wheels again, but by this point obviously my CBT had run out, I didn't have a full licence. I then jumped back on another 125, this was a Sinis. I can't remember the exact model. It was some kind of Sinis bike, one of those Chinese bikes. Actually pretty good to be honest to get back on the back on two wheels. Taught me the basics again. And then from that I went to a CBF 250 Honda. And then from that to a Suzuki Goose 350, which is actually a really rare imported Japanese bike. I was still on an A2 license then. I did my A2, and so I needed something that was restricted to 33 bhp but wasn't actually restricted, if that makes sense. So basically I bought this Suzuki Goose because it was fully unrestricted but came under the 33 bhp threshold. So I had that for a while. That got stolen. There's a trend here, can you tell? And after that I bought another Suzuki, which was a Suzuki GS500, which was also restricted to 33 bhp. That one wasn't stolen. I sold that one because I ended up with two cars. I had my own car, I had the company car, and I just wasn't really riding the bike anywhere. So I just kind of thought, yeah, I'll get rid of this and sell it. So then I had another hiatus from riding for a couple of years until, when was it? Would it have been probably about 4 years ago now at the time of recording this, so probably about 2018. I decided that after a gap of about 7 years, I wanted to get back in the saddle once again. And again, I went back to the old Sinis. I bought the Sinis Retro Star 250, which again was a great little 250, great little 4-stroke. They're not bad, them Sinises. I know they get a lot of stick, those Chinese bikes, but it was pretty good. Got me back into it. Then I traded that up for a Mash, what was it called? A Mash Retro Star, I think it was called 400. It was called a Mash 500, but it was actually 400cc, which makes no real sense, but I'm not going to argue with that. From that I went on to a Triumph Bonneville, just because I think the Mash was actually a replica of a Bonneville, and I really wanted a Bonneville, so I just thought in the end I'm just going to get a Bonneville, so I did. Had that for a couple of years, then got rid of that, got the CB1100, and then here we are all the way up now to present day, and here I am sat on a Kawasaki ER-5 1999. It won't just be me rambling this video and you looking at the screen and seeing all this traffic and whatnot. I will get off the bike at some point and give you a quick look at it, but my thoughts initially are that it's very easy to ride, very manoeuvrable, extremely easy to maintain. The engines are, as you probably know, absolutely bulletproof. I know it's a cliche to say that, but they are. Brakes are terrible. You've got a drum at the back and a single disc at the front, but if you stamp on that drum, tighten it up a little bit, stamp on that pedal, it will stop you. There's no ABS, nothing like that, nothing as fancy as that. As you can probably, I hope you can see this on the camera here. The dials are pretty well nice and laid out. You've got the fuel gauge in the middle, which is about as useless as they come. It will invariably tell me that I've got half a tank left when I open the fuel catch. There's pretty much a full tank in there, so take what it tells you with a grain of salt if you've got one of these bikes. Maintenance wise, since I bought it, I have done an oil and filter change, changed the air filter. I've flushed out the coolant, because this is a liquid cooled engine, I believe. Well, it must be if I've changed the coolant in it. So yeah. What else have I done? I've added these new mirrors to it because the other ones were a bit crap. Yeah, I've added a new front tyre. Oh, come on. Yeah, maintenance really easy, parts really cheap. Even though this isn't my first bike, I'm very happy with it, as I've said. So somebody who's coming straight out for 125 and has passed the test, getting one of these is probably quite exciting, really. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube from other people about where they've got one of these bikes. I saw a young lad who got one of these and loved it, and I mean, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not exactly a super bike, but it goes well enough, as you can hopefully see on this video. And again, hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. So yeah, it gets up to 60 fairly easily. It'll do the speed limit, with no problems. So yeah, it's more than adequate, I think, as a commuter bike. Just don't expect to be tearing up the country lanes on a bike like this. It's not really for that, to be honest. Really, what else is there to say other than that it's like super reliable and very easy to maintain and super cheap. So yeah, cheap and cheerful. Okay, I think in the next bit of this video, what I'll do is I will stop at the side of the road and just do a little bit of a walk around and explain some of the actually quite interesting history around this bike. Even though it's a 1999 model, so it's nearly 22 years old, to look at it, it looks like it's come out of a showroom. And there's an interesting story behind that, and I'll explain that in a sec when I stop. Yeah, this is a nice example of this model. So yeah, see you in a sec. Hello, so here I am. I've stopped the bike, obviously, and I've got off in this very picturesque part of Hampshire, and I'm just going to do a quick walk around the bike and show you just how good a condition this particular specimen of the ER-5 is. Weirdly, when I was riding the bike earlier, a guy who was on another ER-5 stopped next to me and said, oh, that's in good nick. And there's an interesting story around why it's such in good condition, which I will go into in a minute. But first of all, let me spin the camera around and show you the actual bike itself. So there we go. That's a field, not the bike, obviously. So here it is, the Kawasaki ER-5. So yeah, you can see there it's got two exhaust manifolds because it's a twin cylinder bike. Cars are probably going to keep going past as I'm doing this, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just have a quick look at the field again while we go past. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about this bike really, other than it's really economical and very reliable, as I've said in the early part of this video. And just yeah, I mean, you can see for yourself how good nick it is in. So the story behind this is apparently there's only been one previous owner to this bike before I bought it, and the guy I bought it off, who was selling it on that owner's behalf, said that this lady had bought it when it was new in 1999. She'd done an A2 test on it, and then she had it transported over to France, where she'd ridden it periodically. It's only done 15,000 miles from new, this bike. So this lady had ridden it for the last 20 years or whatever, and then decided that she didn't want it anymore, so got it shipped back to the UK, and then he sold it on her behalf. And you know, you do get these stories about, oh, it's only had one lady owner and all this kind of thing, and I've got no reason to disbelieve the guy, because obviously the paperwork says it's only got one previous owner. And interestingly, on the front tyre when I bought it, I've since had this tyre replaced, but on the front tyre, the left hand side of the tyre was worn on one side, and that is indicative of riding on the left hand side of the road. Or is it? No, the right hand side of the road. We ride on the left. Because of the way that the road's kind of arched downwards. So yeah, I've got no reason to believe that it wasn't ridden for that amount of time by one previous owner. And yeah, so as you can see down here, all looks in pretty good condition. But yeah, there we go. So that's the bike. As I say, this is not a review. It's just a quick look at the bike. Here's another person on a car. And yeah, that's it. So, oh, that's me again. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy this video. If you do own an ER-5, tell me what you think in the comments. Cheers. Oh, speaking of Cynises, that's exactly what I had as my reintroduction, a Cynis Max 2. What are the chances? There you go. Good little bike, those.